So the Pittsburgh Steelers find themselves in a very dangerous situation as they are currently 1-2, and their offense has been anemic for the last 3 games. And the main question now is Mike Tomlin the reason this team is being held back? What's up, YouTube? It's Auburn Sports Talk, the home of Sports Talk. Hit subscribe button if you're new. Also the like button. This is not a Mike Tomlin should be fired video. This is not a Mike Tomlin should be replaced video. This is not even a Mike Tomlin needs to lead the Pittsburgh Steelers video. Matter of fact, this is just a criticism of Mike Tomlin video. This video is not to get anybody or any bash towards the Steelers coaches or even the front office. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense and the way they've been doing things for the last couple of years is very ordinary. And they've been sticking to this regular standard for the last couple of years underneath Mike Tomlin. And a lot of people give him a pass because he's never had a losing season. That's what a lot of people are saying. He's never had a losing season. Just because you never had a losing season does not give you the right to continue to play guys that aren't good on the football field. And you guys pretty much know where I'm going with this. Mitch Trubisky is not the right quarterback for this team. I get it. It's only 3 games. But the reason why his leash is so short compared to other people in the NFL, for one, you're playing for a gold standard franchise in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers. For decades, they led the league in Super Bowl wins with 6. Now it's them and New England Patriots. Then all of a sudden, this team constantly makes the playoffs and they were flame out rather quickly with guys like Antonio Brown, Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell. We know the whole story, right? Mike Tomlin teams never button up. And it takes me back to what's going on now with this team. The offense have good pieces. The offensive coordinator, you guys know how I feel about Matt Canada. He's not the right coordinator for this team. He doesn't call the right plays. Mitch Trubisky's not the right quarterback. And it ultimately comes down to Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin hired these guys. He hired Randy Fichtner to be the offensive coordinator. Pittsburgh Steelers fans drug him through the mud. He hired Matt Canada and said, this guy right here can work. There's another guy that coached Big Ben, the quarterback's coach, dragging him through the mud as we speak because they're not good play callers. It's gimmicky. It's run up the gut, slants, run up the gut, slants. And when you don't get those quintessential type of plays, when Matt Canada does call better plays, Mr. Trubisky does not throw the ball down the field. And it's all coming down to Mike Tomlin. He's allowing this to happen. And a lot of people can say, well, bringing in Kenny Pickett is not going to help the offensive line block better. You are wrong. The right side of the offensive line has been pretty solid with James Daniels and Big Chucks at the right tackle position, right guard and right tackle, right? So they've been pretty solid. The rest of the offensive line is very iffy and is very questionable, but they've gotten better since week 1 when they played against Cincinnati Bengals. They still let up a lot of pressures, but it's gotten better to where you can run some plays down the field that can cost 15 to 20 yards for wide receivers such as Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and even Pat Freiermuth tight end. Trubisky's not hitting them. Kenny Pickett can help this offensive line in a plethora of ways. A quarterback can come in and can be a shot in the offense that this team needs. The biggest thing that Kenny Pickett can do is get the ball out quicker, take more shots down the field. Right now, defenses are just playing 10 yards and up against this Pittsburgh Steelers team. They're not playing anything back because they don't believe the Pittsburgh Steelers can stretch the field. And so many people got on Big Ben about this. He can't push the ball down the field. When he pushes the ball down the field, it comes out funny. It doesn't look right. He's underthrowing passes, okay? Mike Thomas said this whole offseason, I want a quarterback with mobility. I want a quarterback with mobility. Mobility is the most important thing. You end up getting Trubisky, who has a lot of mobility. He's a very good athletic quarterback, but he's a 1 to 2 read quarterback. Primarily a 1 read quarterback, predetermined. When you take that first read away, he isn't scanning the rest of the field. And I know he's not scanning the rest of the field because you look at the New England Patriots game. In the 4th quarter, they had the ball, middle of the 4th quarter. This guy, Trubisky, Deontay Johnson, was taken away. He stared him down for a good 2 to 3 seconds, then runs out the pocket and gets sacked. That's not offensive line's fault. That's not wide receiver's fault. That's not even really play calling fault. That's on Mr. Trubisky. I can take you to another instance. The first half against the Cleveland Browns, the offense looked pretty solid. Second half, it was another situation late in the 3rd quarter. They have the ball. Chase Claypool, primarily target, skinny post. They take that away. He's in double coverage. He doesn't look down. He doesn't even look around. He tries to scramble around the pocket and he gets blown up again for another sack. I don't know what this... I don't know what this quintessential thing is and what this alliance is with Mr. Trubisky. He's not a good quarterback. What made Kenny Pickett such a really good quarterback prospect in his draft class versus guys like Matt Corral, versus guys like Malik Willis, he was a very good decision maker and he scanned the field at a high rate. That was the biggest thing, and he would push the ball down the field when needed. A lot of people got on Kenny Pickett. Oh, he doesn't push the ball down the field. He did when they were open, and he knew what he could get away with in college. This guy's your first round pick. And another reason why I'm pissed off that Mike Tomlin doesn't want to play him, he's 24 years old. How much more developing can he get? Now, if you're saying that the offensive line will ruin Kenny Pickett, because I see a lot of people in that, especially trying to protect Kenny Pickett, I understand your argument. But you're doing more harm than good by leaving him on the bench. By letting him sit back and watch and observe, it could do a lot of beneficial things. Don't get me wrong. But he needs to start clicking with guys like Deontay Johnson, like George Pickens, like Chase Claypool, like Pat Freiermuth, like Najee Harris. You need to click with these guys because Kenny Pickett is your long-term answer, not Mitch Trubisky. He's a bridge quarterback at best. He's a backup at best. And another frightening thing underneath the Mike Tomlin era that I've seen, when Big Ben would get dinged up, when he would get hurt, the offense took a significant dip. And every single quarterback I can name did not look good underneath the Pittsburgh Steelers when Big Ben was out. They had no successor for years. And I blame Mike Tomlin for that. You know, you can blame the front office. You said they didn't select guys. They selected guys like Mason Rudolph. Do I have to remind you of Landry Jones? They had to bring in Michael Vick for a point in time to be the backup. They never had a plan B when their plan A went down. It was Big Ben or bust. That's why a couple years ago when Big Ben got hurt, Mason Rudolph came in, and then they had to have Devlin Duck Hodges come in as well because Rudolph got knocked out in the Baltimore Ravens game. The offense looks cluttered. It looks messy. But I will say this about Matt Canada. I did make a video and say I want him to be fired, and I still feel the same way. I don't like to call people for their jobs, but he's just not a good offensive play caller at this level in the NFL. He called a good game against the Cleveland Browns. I can't even lie. That's the one times I will admit I was wrong. He called a good game against the Cleveland Browns. Now it was 1 in a million, but he called a good game against the Cleveland Browns. Trubisky just wasn't throwing the ball down the field. And I see it in Mike Tomlin's presser. He's frustrated when Steelers fans say that they want Kenny Pickett. You're damn right they want Kenny Pickett. He's the first round pick. He played at Pitt. You got to watch and observe him. The Steelers organization wanted Kenny Pickett so bad that they almost traded up with the Houston Texans at the 15th position to go get him. And they just prayed and hoped that he fell down to them. And he did. I understand if you don't want to play a rookie. If the first string is playing phenomenally well, like how Alex Smith was with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not calling Kenny Pickett Patrick Mahomes, by the way. But you look how the Chiefs, they traded up for Patrick Mahomes. And then they had Alex Smith because he was a very good quarterback. Trubisky's not a good quarterback. And a lot of people say it's the offensive line's the play calling. In that Cleveland Browns game, he had enough time for the majority of the game. Then people say, well, late in the fourth quarter, he was throwing lasers. He's throwing lasers because they're playing shallow coverage. The game was over with. It was no way that they could come back in that game with the last 2 minutes left. You already had lost. You're already down 10 plus. So throwing passes to Pat Freiermuth, throwing passes to George Pickens, it doesn't matter. You already lost the game. They're playing deep, shallow coverage. Nothing deep, nothing cheap. He's not a good quarterback. He must be benched immediately. And I get it. Mike Tomlin said that's a definite no. We're not going to start Kenny Pickett. Well, you have the New York Jets. And after the New York Jets, your schedule becomes hell. So it's either you want to start Kenny Pickett now, or you're going to thrust him into the fire against a team like the Buffalo Bills. His stubbornness has held this team back from reaching their full potential, even though he's never had a losing season. And I love Coach Tomlin, because I already know somebody in the comment section and say, you're saying a lot of Mike Tomlin hate. I'm not. I think he's a really good head coach, but he's stubborn as hell. He's hard-headed. He doesn't like to change. He doesn't like to change from his ways. When you notice when Big Ben would get hurt and guys like Landry Jones would come in, besides when Michael Vick came in against the Chargers that one year, you notice the offense was pretty much the same. It never changed. It never suited the other quarterback. It never put them in the right situation. The game plan was pretty much the same. Run it, and when it didn't work, we're going to run it with Le'Veon Bell the entire time. But see, now you can't run the football the entire time. And you can't just say it's the bad effectiveness of the offensive line. Them in pass protection has gotten better from week 1 to week 3. The run blocking needs a lot of work. But Matt Canada keeps calling plays. It's designed to go to the left side of the offensive line when your right side of your offensive line is your best side of the offensive line. So just run it to the right. Just run it to the right. That's all you have to do. James Daniels, a guy that you paid money into in free agency, and Big Chuck's a guy that you retained at the tackle position, right tackle. These are two good, solid players in your offensive line. Call some play-action rollouts on the right side. Those guys have proven that they are good. They're good offensive linemen. They're good tackles. They're good guards in the NFL. That's what they are. But it just seems like this offense can't get right, and this defense is not going to be the same without T.J. Watt until he comes back. Yes, you have an amazing player in Cameron Hayward. Miles Jackson, very good run stopper, right? Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the best safeties in the league. But there's still some sore spots on this defense. Akilla Witherspoon gets exposed. Yes, I'm not talking about the catch that Nelson Aguilar had in week 2 against him when they went against New England Patriots, because that's just an amazing catch by Nelson Aguilar. Got to give him props. But he got exposed in that Cleveland Browns game. He's stubborn. He doesn't want to go from his ways. And the Pittsburgh Steelers could really benefit from having a guy like a consultant that can come in and say, hey, you know, I've been on the outside for a while, but this is what you need to change. Instead of having too many cooks in the kitchen, there's only one cook in the kitchen right now, and it's Mike Tomlin. And he suffers no criticism from the people around him. He says a standard is a standard. I guess the standard is being mediocre. I don't see anything that's different. I don't see nothing different from last year to this year. If anything, the offense has gotten worse. The run game has gotten worse. And it makes me also question, should you have taken a running back in the first round last year instead of just taking an offensive lineman like Creed Humphrey? Even though Najee Harris is an excellent running back, but what good is a running back when you can't block for him and you're calling stupid plays for him? It's a very expendable position. And a lot of people say, well, they needed a running back to continue to build around Big Ben. You're continuing to build around a quarterback that you knew that was on his last leg. That's great. The time to start Kenny Pickett is now. And the time should have been week 1. To be perfectly honest with you. They should have started in week 1. I said that in videos months before because I'm a big fan of him coming out of Pitt. You don't draft a guy in the first round this late in his 20s. He's still in his mid-20s, 24 years old. But you don't draft a guy like that and just say you're going to sit on the bench. Look at the New England Patriots. You drafted Mac Jones. Cam Newton was there. They cut Cam Newton. Mac is your team. It's time to go. You never know what a player can do until you put him out there on the field. And to the people that are saying, well, maybe he sees something in practice. Some players play better in actual games than they actually do in practice. So let me know in the comment section below. Is this team being held back by Mike Tomlin, or is this a player issue? And they've had incredible rosters over the last couple of years. I could talk about the Killer Bees era, then with Martavis Bryant and having Ryan Shazier there, but their defense in the secondary was a little leaky. So they go and get guys like Joe Hayden. I understand it. So I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Is Mike Tomlin holding his team back, and is it time to start Kenny Pickett right now? So let me know that in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, each and every last one, you guys stay positive. Thanks for watching my video, guys. Peace.